Hi everyone. In this video, I will be walking you through my to-do list app built using Laravel. This project allows you to add, edit, and delete tasks with a priority system like low, medium, and high. The main objective of this project is to learn how to work with Laravel migrations, controllers, and blade views, and also how to handle the data in a clean and structured way. Now I will show you how the project finally looks. Here you can see we can add tasks like running, and if we want to set the priority to the high and add the task. Here you can see we added the task successfully, and with each task there is an action associated with the each task like edit and delete button. If you want to edit the task, click the edit button, there's a pop-up. If we want to, let's say, change it to coding only and set the priority to the medium and updated the task, here you can see the task is updated. And if you want to delete the task, here we can click the delete button and there's a pop-up. If you want to delete the task or not, we click yes. So the task is deleted. So this is all about the project, and this project is also responsive for both mobile and desktop screen. You can see here, like you can see the responsiveness. Okay, so now let's move to the coding part of the project and explore how I built it. So this is our folder structure of our project, and here you can see first we have to manage the database and the migration tables. So here I already created the migration table in the database. You can go to the migration and you can see create notepad. You can see here is the table and these are the fields which you can see. uh, the table ID, it is by default string enum for the priority and the time stamps. Like you already seen in the project, there's a time created time in the for each task associated with. And there is also a add priority to notepad table. There is also one migration. This is here because previously I didn't edit the priority and I added the priority later. So because of that, I need to update the table. So this is why it is created here. So this is all about our migration table. And after this, we need to update this in the SQL database too. So that's why we need to run the PHP artisan migrate command. So this will update it in the database too. Next, we have Notepad model located in the app models. And there's a notepad.php. This model represents our notepad table. Here we specify the table name and the use of elegant to interact with the database. Basically, since we are using the Laravel built-in eloquent ORM, so we don't need to write the SQL queries manually. This model help us to access, update, and delete the task in the database. So that's why we created the model here. Now let's take a look at the controller folder. Notepad controller, basically we have made in the app folder http. There's a controller folder where you can see the notepad controller.php. We made this using the command php artisan make controller and the name of the controller. This is our controller folder. Here you can see there are some methods like index, store, updated, and destroy. These all methods are basically do the same thing, like add the task, delete the task, update the task, and show all the tasks. So first we talk about the index. This method fetch all the tasks from the database medium. So you can see notepad colon colon order by row. This is a method. Field priority, like priority what I have need, high, medium, or low. And regarding this, we can there's a view file attached where all the code related to that is inside there. There's one more method, store. This method stores a new task. We first validate the input from the user. Like there's some rule I already mentioned, like the task should be required and it is a string and the maximum length can be 255. And the priority should also be required and the priority should be low, medium or high only. And we here we use validator class. You can see here we already imported this from the facades, uh, and colon make. Here we are fetching all the inputs, okay, and comma dollar rules. So we apply validator to all the rules. If the rules fails here, we redirected the route to the create page only, and with the errors, whatever the error coming, and the input should also be there. Inputs will not be erased if there any error coming. So if the validation pass, we create a new task and store in the database. Like we created a new instance of the notepad and we fetch the input task and the fetch the priority and save it to the database, like notepad save. And after saving, we return it to the main page with the message success, the task is added successfully. After that, there's a one more method, update. This method update an existing task. We valid similar like we validate the input in the input in our store method. We also validate, apply the rules here too. So use the same thing, validator class, make and fetching all the inputs and apply the rules here too. Like here, you can see. And if the validator fail, the same thing happens here too. We reach to the main page with the errors and the inputs. And if we find the task with its ID, and if the ID is not there, not present in our database, this if will execute and there's an error, the task not found. And if the task is found in our database, the ID of that task, then we fetch the task, fetch the priority, and again save it to the database. And after that, we redirect to the main page using the task is updated successfully. After all, there's a method destroy. And these name you can use any name, but by default we use these name for the understanding purpose, like store, destroy, or the index. So here we fetch the ID of the task first, and if the ID is found, we fetch that and delete that task from the database and return to the main page that the task is deleted successfully. And in else, we if the task is not found in the database, we simply return the error that the task is not found. So this is all about our controller folder. Now let's look at our blade view file which we created using the Bootstrap to make it responsive, and whatever the forms we created there, we will look into that. Now let's take a look at our blade view file, which we can find in the resource folder. There's a view folder. I have created a notepad folder, and in this there's a create.blade.php. Here you can see this is an HTML file with the PHP, with the blade file code. Like here, this is our form section for our input. You can see where it will redirect when we submit the form. It will redirect to the route notepad.store, and the method is post, and these are the classes applied using the Bootstrap. You can see I already linked the Bootstrap file above here. And so there are some field, uh, you can see priority, you can select. There's a button add task, and if there's an error, any error coming on submitting this task, there's an we use late template at the rate error and the task, and you can see the message here. And there's one more section, task list section. The above form will create the task. This form will create the task, and whatever we created will display it later here. Here I created the table. In table, I created the row, ID, task, created at, and the action. And in this, I use for each loop so that I can fetch all the tasks from the database. And I also use at the rate if the notepad is not empty, then only the for each loop will execute. Here I fetch the item ID, item task, and here the priority logic will apply. Now here these in this form you can see the delete button. Here there's a delete button, here you can see, and this is all about listing the task. And I use the edit task model. This model I picked from the Bootstrap site, and you can also do that. Like there's a pop-up. When we click on edit task, there's a pop-up coming up, and there you can edit task. In this, the classes where the edit task model is the ID, we mention these because we need to apply the JavaScript to make this model work. So there's an edit task heading on the above. There's a button if you want to close the task. This is the button. Like we do not want to edit. And there's a form inside this model. You can see here. This model, this form will what tells that we want to update the task. Here you can see the method also, the put method. Okay. And when we update it, when we click on update button, it will move to the notepad.update route with its ID so that it can update it in the uh, our SQL database too. The method is post, and here you can see the priority. Low, medium, and high. We can change the priority in edit also. And there's a button update task. This is all about our edit button. And this is a section where we apply the logic of our model. Like here, there's a function edit task in which we are fetching ID, task, and the priority. Here we take a variable form action. Whatever we fetch from our model, it will come to here, and we fetch it using the document get element by its ID. And after that, we make it working. And also, if we want to make model working, we need to include the popper.js also. So this is all about our model file. This is a normal and a very clear code you can see here. So in our folder structure only, in the below folder structure, you can see the routes folder. And here in this route folder, there is a file web.php. We always we mention all the routes in this file. We have to include the controller file, our controller file in which all our logic is written by us. So you can see this get is used to show all the tasks. And here I use the naming convention, name and notepad.create. Why I have used this? Because let's suppose in future we change this URL slash notepad. So if a user want to reach the same page, it will show the error page. So that's why I created this notepad.create, and whenever we change this URL, this will not uh, affected the user. Okay. So there's a method route ::post. From this, we are fetching the data from our form and sending it to our database. There's a : put. Now here we are fetching it by ID so we can update the task. In our blade view file, we already seen that there's a edit modal where we fetch the ID and we are passing ID in the route and we update the task. And this route colon delete, this is for deleting the task. We do the same thing, fetching the ID. If the ID exists, the task will delete it. And if the ID does not exist, the task will, it will shows the task is not found. And we also write the method that index is the method to get the task and the store is the method to store the data in the database, and the update is the method in our controller folder where you can see how to update the task. And there's a destroy method too where you can see how to destroy the task. So these all the things are about route and this simple project. So we have built a to-do list application in Laravel where user can add, edit, and delete the tasks. We have learned to how to use Laravel migrations, like we have created here Laravel migrations tables, and create and manage tasks using controllers, like we have mentioned the methods in the controllers, and also build interactive interface with the blade views and Bootstrap, and also implement the task priority using the drop down and color coding. So this is a great project to understand the basic of CRUD operation in Laravel. And thanks for watching. And I hope this helps you get started with Laravel. Thank you.